Hello, traders. Let's take a look at the featured stock from yesterday and then let's find a new one. My goal is to set you up with some great trades, and I hope that you'll return the favor by subscribing to my channel and by posting your comments. You don't want to miss these trades, so make sure to turn on your notifications. Let's get started. We are 2.5 hours into trading on Wednesday, February 17th. Hello, traders. Let's take a look at yesterday's pick, take a look at a few that we've highlighted recently, get our market bearings, and see if we can find a trade. Yesterday I showed you WYNN, Wynn Resorts. That was my play of the day. I like this horizontal breakout. We had earnings here. Stock pops up. Can't quite get through this resistance level, but it is able to hold the gains after that earnings report. Compresses, breakout to a new relative high. I still like this stock. I think it's going to do well. However, we have a very weak market backdrop. Quick glimpse. You can see the gap down. You can see the selling yesterday. Market closed near its low of the day yesterday, followed through selling today. Not good. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Quick review of some of the other picks that we've had. CRNT was one that I had recently. That was back in here on Friday. Stock not doing really well here. It's kind of holding up. I can't say that it's awful. As long as it's able to hold this upward sloping trend line right here, I think you're going to be fine with it. Take a look at AMAT. That was beautiful. You did need to take some profits on that. We were back in here, had this beautiful run up. You can see that is an evening star formation. Got to be very careful on that. You wanted to take profits up in there. Take a look at TSM. That's been another nice one for us. That's starting to back up. We were in here. You got to take profits on these. Right now, the market is not gangbusters to the upside. It's really been trying to compress on the high, the all-time high, so we don't have the momentum that we need to push higher. JMIA was another one. That stock had been compressing and compressing. We highlighted it back in here. It's through the lower end of this horizontal support level. I think you've got to stop it out right here. Anything that's been running hard is going to be vulnerable to profit taking. This stock has come from $12 up to $66. So looks like it's going to be pausing for quite a while right now. All of these types of runners that start technically breaking down, this is where you're going to see the first signs of profit taking. So be very careful right now. Let's take a look at the market. Let's see what I think it's going to do today. You can see I've got a downward sloping trend line drawn. I've mentioned to members, you do not want to be buying until we can easily get through this downward sloping trend line. Here's the formation that we needed to see today. I also mentioned if we make a new low after 2 hours of trading, you've got to favor the short side. Well, there's 2 hours into trading. You can see we made a new low, or just about. That was just a brief touch right there on that candle. So yes, for all intents and purposes, we did make a new low for the day. I'm fairly bearish in here today. I feel that the market has enough selling pressure to where it's going to continue to go lower. You can see how each time it's tried to challenge this downward sloping trend line, it has been repelled. So it needs to get above that. What I also would like to see, if I'm a buyer, I would like to know that this little drop right in here was simply to trigger those stops. You can see buy, buy. So that was a support level. They tried to trigger sell stops, got some people out, but we kind of waffled around and found a little bit of a bid. We want to make sure that this support level right here holds, and that is about SPY 390. If you are bullish, you want to make sure that any pullback from here in makes a higher low, and then the next rally takes us through that downward sloping trend line. I don't believe we're going to see that today. We've got some issues starting to flare up a little bit on the inflation front. One more look at D1 chart on the S&P 500. We'll draw that upward sloping channel. Still intact. Everything's good. And we're going to also draw that upper band so you can see where the channel comes into play right there. Now, we did poke through it briefly yesterday on the open. Those gaps higher have been a fade almost always. A gap up to a new relative high. Sellers come in, profit takers come in, they knock it down. As soon as the selling momentum starts to accelerate, there's no chance for the market to recover. Then we see follow through today. Look at the last week or so of price action. We are not going anywhere fast. Even with the stimulus bill now on the docket, we have politicians saying that they're going to get this passed in February. That doesn't leave them a lot of time. 1.9 trillion is an awful lot of money. Here's one of the issues. When you start printing money like crazy, we had $6 trillion last May, then we had $900 billion in December. Now we've got another $2 trillion approximately that they're going to be printing. That's almost $9 trillion. What happens to the value of the dollar? It plunges. As the dollar plunges, what happens to goods that we import? They become more expensive. So you start to see inflationary pressures. This morning, the PPI, the producer price index, came out and it was 1.4%. That was much higher than the 0.4% that everyone was expecting. However, the Fed has told us we don't care. We will let inflation go above our target without raising rates. We want inflation. That's what they've been telling us. We're going to get that reinforced this afternoon when the Fed minutes are released. That comes out at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Maybe everybody takes a deep breath and goes, okay, well, the Fed's not going to be raising rates anytime soon. They've told us that it's unlikely even in 2022 that they would be raising rates. However, the market sees things a little bit differently. So let's take a look at the TLT. This is the 10-year US Treasury. And you can see here's another trading channel. Let's draw this in. And this would actually make me less concerned based on, and I'm going to zoom out and go into a longer term chart so that I can really grab this lower end of the trend line. And you'll see it in here. And you can see how we've poked through it. There is a downward sloping channel also on the TLT. Now, typically when you get these nice trading channels that can form beautifully like that, you can see the width is pretty much the same. It will tend to stay within that trading channel until you get a breakdown like this. This, I believe, on TLT is a selling climax. You can also see the volume spike. Let's go back in and then we could take a look at it. You see that volume spike right there? I'd mentioned this before the open, that I think this is a selling climax. I'm expecting to see TLT bounce. That would be good for the market because it would mean that interest rates have stopped going up temporarily. And that's one of the concerns right now, is that interest rates are starting to rise. That's why you're seeing some selling pressure in the market. So as far as the overall market is concerned, what would your stance be? We've been bullish, and I still think there's a chance for the market to push higher. However, we're at the back end of earnings season, so all of that excitement has waned. Starting to see a little bit of inflation. Coronavirus cases, they're dropping, and they're dropping quickly. By the way, we had a really good economic release today. Retail sales up 5%. That is excellent. So people are already starting to spend money. That's a good sign for economic growth. So it's not all gloom and doom. Just know that right now the market is trying to consolidate, trying to digest the gains from this bounce right here. So we had a nice hard sell-off end of January, beginning of February, immediate bounce, big bounce. And so now we're trying to work off those gains, and the market is starting to move sideways. Got a lot of movement back and forth. Option implied volatilities are very cheap right now, so it's tough to sell out of the money credit spreads. If you go long premium, buy calls, then you're going to be exposed to time decay as the market goes sideways. So I was looking for a nice big rally this week and next week as that stimulus bill gets closer and closer. Starting to have second thoughts right now. I'm just seeing a lot of selling pressure and the market can't seem to get off the deck. So the point here, you have to take profits. If I show you a trade, the trade moves higher in a couple of days, take your chips off the table. Hit and run, get in, get out. We're not getting the follow through right now. As far as today, I'm going to show you a bullish pick, but know that the market looks pretty soft here. We've got this downward sloping trend line. I believe we're going to continue to move lower throughout the course of the day. I don't think we're going to see a big, massive bounce. If we do get one, it probably will come in the second half of the day, later in the afternoon after those FOMC minutes are released. And then we've got a chance to get through this downward sloping trend line. As long as that is intact on a 5-minute basis, you have to be very, very cautious. So let's take a look at some of the stocks that are looking pretty good right now. And I'm going to go into my list right here. The energy stocks are catching a bid. As long as inflation is on the rise, you're going to see energy stocks moving higher. And I'm going to just continue to click through some of these. AIG, I noticed, that actually is pretty nice. That is a bullish engulfing pattern after earnings yesterday after the close. That's the A. So that's a bullish engulfing pattern to a new relative high. That looks pretty good in here. Commodity stocks like CLF, they're also doing fairly well. You've got this downward sloping channel that was breached to the upside. But here's a company that's been struggling for a while. They're issuing more debt right now. They're issuing more shares, so they need the capital to increase production. VZ actually looked pretty good today. Downward sloping trend line here. You can see how the stock has been able to rally above it. This to me, though, is a longer term bearish chart, so I'm not too crazy about it. There's one stock in particular that I'm looking for. It has been on my searches this morning, but I can't seem to find it right now. So I'm just going to enter the symbol because it's temporarily come off. I like ABBV. I like the fact that the stock has not made a massive run. You can see that it dropped here. SPY is above the trend line. That's good. We can see that right there poking through. And that's how the alerts work. Once you draw your alert line, you get that pop-up. ABBV, I'd like to see it close above this 50-day moving average, and you can see that it comes into play right around 106.44. So if it closes above 106.44, here's how I would play it. I like this support, 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, and here we can see a higher low. Also had a decent reaction to the earnings report right there. That's the B. So we've got this nice support level that's defined, and that comes into play about $102. I would take it one step further and go down to the $100 strike price. So if you went out to the March regular expiration, March 19th, I like selling the 100 put and buying the 97.50 put and doing that for a 50-cent credit. I believe just before I started recording, it was somewhere around 30 cents bid, offered at 40 cents, so the stock would have to pull back just a little bit for you to have a shot at getting filled on that. Let's put the M5 chart up. You can see the relative strength today, and I'll put the 1 OSI indicator up. Orange line greater than 0 indicates relative strength, so it's been strong all day long. Dipped a little bit right now, but if I put the SPY up, you'll be able to see that's the gray line. Market down, down, down all day, stock up, up, up. That's a sign that buyers are lined up. ABBV, that would be my pick of the day, but again, make sure that it closes above the 50-day moving average. That is the first caveat to the trade. And you don't want to be putting a lot of bullish positions on right now because the market looks a little squishy. It's a little soft in here. We're heading sideways. I've got another stock right here, relative strength 30. Look at that. You can see Win. Win is in the green right now. That was our pick from yesterday. I still like Win. And you can see the market sold off, the stock held its own, and now it's trying to make a new high for the day. Boeing's another one that I like. It was just on this list. There it is. Boeing is also holding up very well right now. You can see that it is almost back to unchanged for the day. We'll go into the D1 chart, and you can see the 50-day moving average. It's been able to get above that. That's also pretty nice. Downward sloping trend line right here, broken to the upside. Stimulus bill, we're probably going to see some money. I know we're going to see some money going to the airlines. What's good for the airlines is good for Boeing. So it should do well with the stimulus plan. And here you can see that the S&P is trying to get through this level. We did have a bullish 10P cross right in here, right on that low. So hopefully this move will gain traction. If it does, we want to see it get above the high of the day and fill in some of this gap. That would take some of the pressure off. Let's go one more look at TLT. And let's see what that's doing. You also want to keep an eye on bonds. You'd like to see bonds move higher. That means interest rates go lower. Everybody takes a deep breath and they stop worrying that the Fed is going to tighten. And this afternoon, those FOMC minutes could be really key. That's all I've got for you today. Good luck with your trading.
Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.